Good morning. Today is Thursday, September 10th, and I'm going to be having something special for me today. I have actually never tried one of these. This is a Sheng or raw Pu'erh. Um, it's called Sweet Clarity 2016. Apparently an award-winning raw Pu'erh. As you can see, the leaves are a little um, they're almost like, let me see if I can get a close up. This will show. But the leaves have this kind of almost, they almost have like a shimmer to them. And there you can kind of see it. They have like almost like these soft, fine hairs on them. Um, so this is a raw pu'er. Most of the pu'ers I've had have been, well, actually all the pu'ers I've had up until now have been what are known as shou pu'ers, shou, or cooked pu'ers. So basically, when you have a pu'er, it is fermented. That's kind of the signature aspect of a pu'er tea. So when normally pu'ers have to be they have to be aged for a very long time. Sometimes like after the initial fermenting process is started, they can be aged for decades. Most Sheng pu'ers or raw pu'ers are aged for up to 10 years before they're considered to be drinkable. So in light of that, in order to produce teas for the for growing demand, uh, show pu'ers or cooked pu'ers were invented in order to accelerate the aging process. Give this a rinse for about 5 seconds. There we go. Okay. So in order to accelerate the aging process, they've been cooked. Of course, they still make raw pu'ers, and they're a much different experience from what I understand. This one, as you can see, is very clear because if you've seen my other video where I had the V93 tool chow, that is a show pu'er. A 5 second rinse basically, the tea was already pretty dark and brown by then. So I'm gonna give it a little sniff here. Oh yeah, that's different for sure. It's got this, like it is very sweet as the name implies. It's almost a fruity, like a nice soft fruitiness. I'm very curious how this is going to taste. I really don't know. Let's see here. Get a good view of the leaves. Let's see, they've got that kind of shininess to them, and they're much greener than the cooked pu'er is. Like this, like I can actually still see some green. It's not. It looks a little more green in the video than I think it is in person, but it is most definitely greener than the show pu'er has been. Oh wow, that's because when I smelled the leaves dry, they have that kind of like acrid sweetness of fall leaves, which is appropriate because they're oxidized and fermented the way that's what happens when the leaves fall from the trees in the fall, and you get that very particular like October smell. This had a little bit of that. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and brew it and give it a taste. I give this a nice short brew of about 10 seconds. I'm very excited for this. It's been about 10 seconds. Oh yeah, okay. This is already very different from what I was expecting. This is much lighter than any show pour I've ever had. This is well, for one thing, you can see through it. Secondly, it's very like it's a nice pale yellow. It's not too it's not too aggressive in either being like kind of like some of these teas will come out like very green, and it's like almost an acidic like Mountain Dew yellow, and then like the Gyokuro does, and then the shows will come out very like almost coffee dark. This one's right in between. It looks almost, it's almost like a green tea, but it's closer to an oolong in color. So, give it a smell. Oh yeah, there's a sweetness to it I can't quite place. It's very soft smelling. Let me give it a taste and see what comes up. Yeah, it's very subtle. I'm not getting I'm not honestly getting a whole lot of flavor out of it yet. It's very aromatic, um, but it's almost closer to a it's closer to a green tea right now. It is very it's like a green tea, but there's more body to it. It's a little thicker feeling on the tongue, a little thicker, not thicker tasting, but like it's I'm not getting a lot of astringency. There's some getting a little bit of a kind of a vegetal aftertaste to it. It's very warming. This is actually it's also brewed cooler than most than a show pour would be. I usually do my show pours up in around 90 Celsius. This one is going to be about more like 80 to 84 degrees Celsius. So it's definitely cooler by quite a bit. Let's see here. Yeah, that's quite good. I like it. I'm excited to see how the second brew is going to turn out. Very often, the second brew will bring out more of the real flavor of the tea. Let's take a look at the leaves again. So they haven't quite opened up yet either. I've been giving them a very short brew. Also, I only have a sample of this. This is the entire sample, and it only came out to be like 6.8 grams. Usually, I would use about 8 grams of tea for this guy one. So it's a little less than I would have normally for a good session. If this turns out to be complex and good, I might go ahead and buy a cake. They're kind of expensive. My understanding is this is a tea that actually the 2016 comes from some award that it won, not the actual production date of the tea. It's older than that. Yeah, the reason I slurp the tea is to try and I'm trying to aerate it and introduce some more oxygen to the brew. That allows for more. It kind of brings out the brighter notes of the tea a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and give it another brew. Let's see if it. I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it 20 seconds this time. So starting right about now, we'll see how that changes the brew. Usually, the rule with gong fu is you start, especially with pu'ers, at least with show pu'ers, you start low, like 5 to 10 seconds, and then you add 5 seconds for each brew. That's how I do it anyway. Okay, so we can see already this is much more pronounced coloration. It's much more yellow, much more gold. So this is going to be a much stronger brew than the first one. We'll see how I'm going to finish off what I have. The smell, though, this tea is, at least so far, if I'm being perfectly honest, I'm not getting a whole lot in the taste department, but as I'm drinking, if I'm trying to inhale and aerate the tea, and it's really in my nose, and it smells just wonderful. Like this is very much this is a smelling tea. So, oh yeah, I can't describe this. It's almost like I've had a cologne that smelled like this before, and that probably is not Not an appetizing description, but I promise it smells delicious. Yeah, we're getting much more flavor this time. I'm getting some woody notes. That nice. It's very forest floor and fall. Like it's very much a fall drink. Um, like it's got this almost baseline woody, fallen leaves, fallen twigs, bark, oxidizing, and then there's this, just like above it. There's this lingering sweetness, just like in the almost in the air above it. It's hard to. I always want to put these things in physical terms, like, but there is something, at least so far. There's something kind of missing in the middle there. Like there's not much of a transition between the the woodiness of the floor of the tea and um, the bright sweetness above it. That both of them are very pleasant, but I don't know. There's something not quite. Yeah, I feel much the same. Um, Maybe third brew will change my mind. None of that's to say this hasn't been a very good tea. Um, I would like to try it with more leaf. I think that's where I'm kind of maybe that's where it's lacking. Is there's only I only have so much of this for this particular brew. I would like to use a little more. Gong Fu style really demands being excessive with the tea. You want to taste the tea. That's why you do this. It's why you invest in the equipment. It's why you use so much leaf to so little water. Because this, not sure exactly how much this guy one holds, but obviously it's not a ton of water. It's begun to open up a little bit. I think once this, I think probably one more brew is going to really get the real and true flavor out of this. Oh, but those leaves smell wonderful. It's very nostalgic, um, especially going into fall right now. I live in Colorado and we've had some weather you may have heard. It was the world was on fire on Monday, and then Tuesday it snowed. So yeah, it's been a little weird. So this is kind of a nice retreat into my memories of fall and um, as we're heading into the season. I'm not expecting much out of the fall this year. I think it's been too dry, and between that and the constant smoke haze, a lot of the trees have already begun to drop their leaves and just kind of turn brown. So I think we're not going to get a lot of uh, color or pleasant fall experience this year, which is a shame, but that's where we're at. I apologize for the slurping noises on camera, but at the same time, you should be slurping your tea. Give it a try. It really does change the flavor. I'm really, at least in this with this particular tea, it's really accentuating the woody notes a lot. So, uh, yeah, I will. I may get some more of this. I'll have to see. I'm not sure how much a cake of it is. I'm not honestly sure if it's something I would drink on a regular basis, but I'll experiment with it some more. Um, the tea shop I got it from, Happy Lucky's in Fort Collins, has they they do sell them by the ounce, I believe. You don't have to buy just a cake. They will break it up for you, and you can get just like a bag of this tea. Um, I prefer to have cakes just because I love the way the cakes look. Um, there's so many um, there's so much variation in like artistry in pu'er cakes, especially the labels. Um, some of them, especially for the American market, are very have like almost indie art on them, like the kind of thing you would expect to see on a band poster in a bar somewhere. which is to see that on a cake of tea is really amusing to me personally. And some of them have like honestly like very good art, and they're just kind of cool to look at, and they're cool to have. You know, it's something especially if you're treating friends who are not tea heads to something. It's something you can pull out and kind of introduce them to another aspect of tea. Um, I think I actually saw a cake of this. It was kind of a your standard rice paper, some nice like cherry blossoms or something on it. Nothing too out there. I know there is a website called Crimson Lotus Tea. I think he's based out of China or Taiwan or somewhere. But I think the actual like in the states the company is based out of Portland, Oregon. Um, I believe that may not be true. But his teas have a lot of really cool indie art. So maybe go check him out if you want an example of what I'm talking about. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to brew this one more time. I'm going to taste it and see how it is, and I will report back. I may actually even I may try brewing this cooler to see if that changes the flavor a lot. Maybe take it down to like 65 Celsius and see where that comes out. The brew instructions, I went by Happy Lucky's brew instructions. They wrote, they wrote 180 degrees. So those are pot brew instructions. So I'm of course not brewing it for half a minute like they suggest, but yeah, I think this would be a good guest tea. This would be good to serve to somebody, I think. So I'm going to try some more. I'll report back sooner or later if I want to experiment with it again. Thank you for watching.